We're live.
We are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another fantastic live episode.
How are you doing?
There are people joining. Lovely. Let's hope everybody's joining both on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Doing good. I'm very excited for today's live. I think
Me
it's a
too. I've
topic
been looking forward to it.
people have been at. I really get this question very often. Like, I want to be in cybersecurity. And then I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? They're lost. Most of the times, there is no answer. And I think it's not enough to just know that you want to be in cybersecurity. You need to know a lot more than that. Hey, Carrie, how are you doing? Thank you for joining. Let's see who else is joining today.
We got Simon in here from InfoSec Live. Awesome. Well, let's do it.
Ah,
Let's do it.
we have lovely, yeah, wonderful. Okay, so let's start today's live broadcast. Today we have a very important topic because today we're going to talk about how do you find your career path in cybersecurity. And before we even go into discussing how you do that, I think I want to just start by saying that first and foremost, your path is uniquely yours. You can emulate others, you can be inspired by others, but if someone tells you this is exactly how your path will look like, run away from them, run away fast, because your path does not need to look exactly like anybody else's. It's you are unique and your path is going to be unique. And I'll give you a very real example. So no one in my family comes from tech background, let alone cybersecurity. And even though this industry, this field is kind of like feels out of scope for them to understand, and no matter that they didn't really understand when I told them the first time that I wanted to become a hacker, what that really entailed. I got a 100% support from them. And the interesting part is that my father is my number one mentor, and he has a completely different background. He has a completely different life, completely different path. Nothing but his mentorship has guided me to choose my path in cybersecurity, to just get into cybersecurity and begin with, right? And then in addition to that, if we just, in addition to the support, obviously I got from my family, from my father, I did need someone that from the industry who could inspire me, who could guide me. And I found a mentor. I talked about it. I've put a video about it, and I've shared the story before. But that person was a hacker, right? And I was really inspired by him, and I he has been my long term mentor for the last 20 years. And but the interesting part is accept the fact that he was a hacker and I'm a hacker. There's nothing common between us. Absolutely nothing. Our paths are very different, but he's still my mentor. So I'm just wanna the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you want to still make your own choices. And I have done that. When I still get inspired from my mentors, right? And I did become a hacker and I did become a CISO. Our paths have been completely different. And one of the reasons I believe these mentors that I have are the fantastic mentors is because they have inspired me without forcing me to go their way or to have a path exactly like them. I build my own path that is unique for me, that works for me, that's right for me. So before we get into it, I really want everybody that's joining today or that will be listening to this conversation later on to understand that don't let anyone choose your path for you. In today's video, Mike and I will help you choose your path. So we're not going to set your path for you. That's something we're not going to do, but we're going to help you build or choose and build your own path. And we'll talk about what are the key elements that can help you decide which path is the right one for you. Before we get into that, Mike, do you wish to add something about the different paths and different things that we have in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. You had a good point. So getting into cybersecurity, my mentees say it all the time. I want to get into cybersecurity, and I always saying you want to get into that. It's like saying you want to play sports. Which sport do you want to play? And there are a ton of paths that you can go down, but I try to really focus people, or help people focus on one of three, right? Three kind of main categories. So, and they are red team, which could be penetration testing, blue team, which would be defensive. You could be a SOC analyst, a threat hunter, a VCISO, CISO, whatever it is, right? Defending organizations. And then also, if you're not a super technical person, you can also go down the route of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. There's so many organizations out there that need help, that don't have a security team, or that don't have the people that they need, where you can help them kind of align their organization against a framework to help them go from A to Z, and possibly even get compliant, or get to a place where they know that they're doing their due diligence to stay secure. So those are kind of three routes. You don't have to follow those routes, and you're right. Every your path is yours. It's unique. It's whatever you want to do. That's the cool thing about this field, is it's really up to you on your success and where you want to go with it, and how fast or slow you want to go with it. It's you're the one driving the car. So I think that's what I would add to that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And I think I just literally posted about it today. There's also one other way to look at it. There are at least 6 different ways you can get into cybersecurity. And just another perspective on what Mike said to add to that one. Builder, somebody who's building resilient infrastructures or resilient businesses, resilient societies. Defender, protecting against cyber attacks. Hacker, finding the flaws before the criminals do. Responder, detecting and responding to threats in a timely fashion and helping there. Auditor, ensuring compliance, ensuring best use of frameworks that are there. Or manager, when you get into management roles, when you get into CISO role, right? That's another way to look at it, how you can get into cybersecurity in 6 different ways. And what's interesting is that you don't have to pick exactly one forever. You can switch between them. You can combine them. Just from those 6 categories, I have 2 at least, right? I've been a hacker, and I am a people manager, and I am a CISO, and I've done different things. Not done exactly SOC analysis, or not been that one, but that's what I'm saying. It's the different categories, and you can combine them in different way. You can switch between them. People coming from different industries can also switch to these, right? And that's just important part to understand.
And there's no wrong way to go either. If you go into GRC and then decide you want to be a penetration tester, you can still use some of that knowledge to understand what has to happen in a pen test to make sure that they become compliant. And the better you understand offense, the better SOC analyst you'll be, because you understand what offense is doing. So they all work hand in hand. There's really no wrong way to go either.
I just see that Shadrach, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, has just asked what are the 6 ways.
Yes.
And I think I just said them, but I can just repeat. It's builder, defender, hacker or attacker, responder, auditor, and manager. 6 ways. You can find more about it. I've put a video on YouTube, and I also have it on LinkedIn. But let's just jump into, because today we're talking about how can we help you choose your path. So let's go right into the key elements that can help you choose and decide which path is the right one for you. Let's start with number 1. What is your why? When people ask me they want to break into cybersecurity, they want to work into cybersecurity, they want to switch to cybersecurity, I ask them why. And I almost never get an answer, because not necessarily people know that. And I think you need to do some kind of research internally. We're not talking about external research, but more about some reflection, some soul searching. And how do you do that? Ask yourself these questions, because I think this is very, very important. Is cybersecurity even the right field for you? What entices you about cybersecurity field? What is your why? What are your core values? Does the industry and the work that we do in this industry on an overall level resonate with your why? We're just talking about the overall level. We're not talking about exactly every single role or something, but just understanding what is your why, what are the core values, and how the work we do in cybersecurity in an overall level resonates with your why. Does it fit your core values? And let me give you an example. So I'm an Indian German who grew up in India. By the age of 10, I already knew that I wanted to work in tech. And I've shared that story also many times. Another time to repeat that one because I don't want to diverge right now into that one. But by the age of 10, I already knew I wanted to work with tech. But I didn't really know what and how. Yeah, tech was amazing. I had some experiences that made me decide that I wanted to do that. But then when I was growing up, I once overheard my dad and my grandpa talking about how grandpa had lost all his savings because of a scammer who scammed him through a fake investment portfolio scheme. It's no joke. He lost all of his savings. My parents or my grandparents as well, they never told us because they didn't want us kids to be worried. We were still kids. We were still growing up. But I overheard my dad and my grandpa talking about it, and I felt horrible. I felt sad, but I also felt angry. And I felt that how? I cannot let anyone ever be scammed and humiliated or hurt in this way. And as the crime shifted from physical to cyberspace, it was like natural for me that I wanted to get into this field. It was this episode in my life that is still very vivid in my mind that led me to eventually become a hacker to help defend against the bad guys, to prevent businesses and people to be taken advantage of. That was my biggest why. And then I realized that it was not enough. I also needed people and businesses to work smarter, to be smarter, to build smarter, to grow smarter and 10x. And that's why I moved on to become a CISO. That's why I founded Monica Talk Cyber to help each and every one of you that's joining today or that will be talking or listening to this episode later, or my community that I've grown with you guys, to help each and every one of you grow 10x in your career and your life. And these are the experiences. And if I do some soul searching, which I have done over the last 20 years, I've always tried to find my why, because there is absolutely nothing more stronger than an intrinsic motivation. You can have money, you can have all the other motivations, and we'll talk about that. It's nothing wrong with that. But the intrinsic motivation is one of the biggest and strongest factors that will stay with you. It can change. It's not that your why cannot change or your purpose cannot change. It's not one single thing forever. But always ask these questions to yourself. What is your why? What are the core values? Does this industry, the work you do today or you will do in the new role or where you want to go, does it resonate with your why? Does it fit with your core values? This is number one element in finding your career path. I don't know, Mike, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think, so it sounds like you had a very personal reason, for getting into cybersecurity, sharing that story from your childhood. And I think many times, people getting into this field, it is personal, right? They know someone that's been scammed, that maybe they've been scammed themselves. And it's just a case. And honestly, I think this kind of segues perfectly into the second one, which is, for me, I got into technology in my late teens. It was a while, it was a while, and I just grew a passion for it, and I wasn't thinking about the money. And when I'm mentoring and when I'm talking to people, I have two types of people that I deal with. And the first type are the people that they'll say, Mike, I want to do this because I need to make a good living, and I hear the money's really good, right? But they don't have a passion for it, and it just starts them off. In my opinion, it just sets them up for failure, because you have to enjoy what you do. If you're not passionate about what you do, you're not going to eat, sleep, and breathe it in, right? So me, this is my passion. This is my, cybersecurity has been my passion. Tech has been my passion for years. So if something's your passion, it also becomes your hobby, and it's not work, right? So I don't think of what I do as work, right? I serve as a vCISO now, but it's not work because I enjoy it. Well, if you enjoy something, you want to do that, and it's not like you're working a 9 to 5 and it's 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I got to leave for the day. It's a lifestyle. It's a continuous lifestyle. So you absolutely have to do it for the right reasons, whether it's personal, whatever it is. Don't do it for the money. What I will tell you is if it is your passion and you drive into this field because you're passionate about it, you will absolutely make money at it, right? Because money will start trickling in, and you'll become valuable because people see that passion in you. But if you go in it for the money, you're going to find it harder to be able to deliver, and two, it's just, in my opinion, not going to be successful for you. So yeah, that's my opinion. You just absolutely have to do it because you want to do it.
100%. And I think it's really important to understand that, and that's why we need to ask these questions, to really ask these questions and understand. I think somebody asked for also YouTube link. Yeah, Kevin has already put the YouTube for Mike, and mine is Monica Talks Cyber. So if you want
Awesome.
to see those
Thank you,
videos that
Kevin.
the ones that I told you about, that is on Monica Talks Cyber. It's just
Perfect.
last 2 3 videos out there. And I just also posted about the 6 things. It goes from Mike's account. Interesting. I think that's the
That's weird.
default
Yeah.
account. It was me who typed it, but it says Mike Miller.
I see both our names for some reason. It says Monica Talks Cyber, and right
Oh
below it,
yeah, okay. It was posted from both. Yeah, I see
yeah,
both now. Okay,
weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is weird. Nonetheless, yeah, that somebody was asking. So those are the 6 categories, and please go into our YouTube channel, Monica Doc Cyber and Mike Miller Cyber. You'll find other videos. But let's continue with this discussion. So that really brings me to the next point as well, because once you understand your why, once you know that okay, it's more than just money, then now the question is what. Okay, so this is number 3. A day in the role. What do I mean by that? So there are a lot of people that obviously work in this industry that have done the things that you want to do, right? Network with the right people and get real first-hand insights from them on the job or the role that you're interested in, right? If you want to be a hacker or a CISO, ask me. If you want to be a SOC analyst, maybe I'm not the right person for that. Point is, ask and get to see the role from inside by talking with the right people, people that who have walked in these shoes. Network with other professionals, especially related to the roles that you're interested in, and ask them, how does their day-to-day job really look like? Because you can read about all the job descriptions online, and sure, do that. That's no problem, but it's completely different to read it online, what a job description says or what these roles are described as. And it's completely different when you go to someone who has walked in these shoes and ask them, hey, how does your day to day really look like? How does your day to day job and role look like? How does your typical week look like? How does your atypical week look like? And what are the top challenges that you face in this role? What are the recommendations that you would give to someone who wants to join in this role? And if you're struggling to connect with people and ask these questions, then there's actually also one more YouTube video that I've created specifically for how you can cold email people. And I walked through all the steps of what is important to cold email people and connect with people in a way that first that you get a response, and two, that you build a meaningful relationship. So just check that out also. That will really help you if you're trying to connect with people and ask people. But the point really is that try to get the real insights from people that have been in this role. That is really, really important step. So that's why I say a day in the role or a week in the role. Try to step into somebody else's shoe for a day or a week. Walk in those shoes that have already walked that path, because that's where you get the real insight. No one else can give you a better insight than that. Just as an example, as a hacker, when I was working as a hacker, it's a really thrilling role, but it's also very hectic. Some of the biggest challenges that I faced, personally at least, it was explaining and convincing business to fix the flaws. The second business challenge was that when I did convince them and got the hacking contract again for a second time to reassess their security posture, it was still the same flaws in the different places of the core of the product or whatever you were hacking at the time. And while on one hand, as a hacker, that obviously helps me in my job to do it successfully, finding the flaws, I at least would feel really horrible. It would really affect me, because when I would see the same flaws coming over and over and again after reassessments or rehackings or whatever, it really demotivated me. I was like, the whole idea of this is to help people build better security
Yeah.
posture, not just to fix it, right? So you don't know that about a hacker role until you have actually been in that role, right? And you can only know that if you ask the person who has been in that position. And the third challenge that I faced as a hacker was risk management. I mean, helping really business understand in a terms, in ways that they can understand that how one single flaw in one line of a code has the possibility of taking down your entire business. How do you explain that to them in a way that they understand, right? And that's precisely the reason why my journey then shifted into risk management, why I became head of security risk and business continuity and moved on to become a CISO. So all these things are connected. And I think it's easy, obviously, to look and connect these dots looking backwards. But today, by the time we end this live today, I'll give you a framework of what has been an underlying foundational framework for really, I see how my career moved. And it's not like I decided 20 years ago that this is how exactly my career will look like. I took it as it went. But this is really important to understand and get these real insights of challenges, of recommendations of what it looks like from the real people that who have actually been in these shoes, who have walked this path that you also want to walk. So you get what I'm saying? A day in a role or a week in a role. Try to understand that and get the real insights.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll kind of dovetail off of that. Two things that you'll find that you talked about kind of in all of these roles. There's two things in common. The first one is being able to communicate. No matter what role you're in, the most important skill that you can have, whether you're a penetration tester, SOC analyst, CISO, whatever it is, in GRC, you have to know how to communicate. So when I say communicate, I'm talking about not just being able to talk, but to be able to talk to your audience, right? Are you talking to a technical team or are you talking to stakeholders? Are you the conduit between the technical team and stakeholders? So that's the first thing. Communication is key. So that particular soft skill is, and I don't even want to call it a soft skill. I'm going to call it a core skill because you have to be able to communicate, right? Is very important in every one of those roles. The second thing, and Monica, you mentioned about connecting the dots in different roles and so on. It's knowing how to be a problem solver. You have to know how to solve problems. So if you can put the two things together, being able to communicate and solve problems, I don't care what role you're in, you're going to set yourself up for success, which goes back to if you have a passion for it, right? You're going to want to communicate about it, and you're going to see problems maybe before they even arise, and you're going to communicate about them and solve those problems. So those things really go hand in hand, in my opinion. Being able to communicate and being able to solve problems, which really leads us
Yeah.
into the
Just
fourth. Yeah, go
before we
ahead.
go to the fourth one, I just want to take one comment, if I may, Mike, because somebody asked, and I think it's a really important question. Somebody asked, it's generic. I come with no tech background. How does one get into the field? And I think I just
Yep,
want to take this because Mike and I have
absolutely.
been screaming on the top of our voices for years. You don't need to be a hacker or a coder to work in this industry. And I
Absolutely.
think, and literally the last live that we did was precisely exactly on just this topic. So you can absolutely come in this industry. There are so many roles in this industry that is not needing hacking skills, that doesn't need coding skills, that doesn't need um, tech expertise as such. You
Yeah.
can go into audit management, you can go into vulnerability management, you can go into product security, you can go into sales, you can go into, I think they're like, I was literally talking about like 11 different roles that you can do that. But nonetheless, I would really recommend you, Samir, that you go please back to our live, last month's live. We do this live once every month. Please go back, and if you have still more questions, we're very happy to answer. So sorry, Mike, I just thought that that comment was
No, that's
really,
fine.
really important. So I just wanted to, now we can go to the next point.
Yep. Yeah, no problem. And you know what? I'm going to take one more comment here that I was reading while you were talking there. It says, "Can you share how one can transition from one role to more of an infosec role and how you convince the gatekeepers?" Here's what I'll tell you. Right? Don't try to convince the gatekeepers. work around the gatekeepers. If you're branding yourself properly, which we've talked about in previous episodes and we'll talk about in future episodes, if you brand yourself properly, you won't have to deal with gatekeepers because you'll have people coming to you, to your LinkedIn inbox or your email inbox or wherever, and you'll have people coming to you with warm leads for opportunities. For every gatekeeper, there's 3 other people that can see you for the skills that you have. So if you're worried about gatekeepers and you're applying for a ton of jobs and filling out applications, you're doing it all wrong. You need to stop. You need to look at it from a 30,000 foot view and say, how do I brand myself? How do I attract people to me so that I can have opportunities coming to me? Then you won't even have to deal with them, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of my opinion on that.
Yeah,
So,
and I think just to add to that one tiny thing, I think it's very generic advice that applies to the life in general, but you cannot change other people.
absolutely.
You can
Yeah.
change how you look, how
Yeah.
you portray, how you brand yourself,
Yeah.
and then opportunities come to you and change
Yeah.
happens for you.
Yeah.
Don't try to stop other people from, I mean, changing other people is not something that should be the goal. That happens as a result of you doing something different.
Yeah.
So just, and I say that from experience.
You're right. Yeah. Don't spend your time on a gatekeeper because you're just holding yourself up from opportunity from other people. So, which really, I'll just go on to the next topic. So we talked about the different roles and we talked about communication and we talked about being able to problem solve. So I am a person that I like to say I am a master of none. I'm an expert of nothing except Googling and lunch. I'm good at those 2 things, really good at those 2 things. My success in my journey has come from being able to communicate well, being able to problem solve, and I've moved around in this industry a lot, right? So I was a sysadmin, I was a network admin, I was a SOC analyst, I did defensive work, I was an ethical hacker, penetration tester. I got into PCI. I traveled the world doing PCI audits and writing rocks, report on compliances for PCI. Got into GRC, then I started assuming CISO roles. But what I'll tell you is, I'm not, So if I'm talking about a SOC analyst, like I'm here, right? Where like a really good SOC analyst would be up here, but I can have a conversation with a SOC analyst, understand what they're talking about. You mentioned earlier about being able to understand penetration testing, so in my position as a vCISO, and sometimes we have compliance we have to deal with and other things, sitting with the team of pen testers, the pen testers, being able to understand what they're talking about has value, right? Again, I was a pen tester that was here, and but a deep dive in pen tester is going to be up here. So I like to say my knowledge is miles wide, but only a few feet deep in certain areas. That's kind of been my success. So, excuse me, long term, I think you have a choice to make. The one option is I want to deep dive into my field. I want to become a world class penetration tester. I want to become one of the best there are. And if you're passionate about that, I absolutely encourage that because you know what? You will be very successful at that. And the byproduct of that is you're going to make a really good living doing that, right? The second choice is being more of I hate the word generalist, but being more of a person who knows has pretty solid information about all different sectors of cybersecurity. So in the future, that can help you align yourself with leadership roles, right? It's easier for you to become a manager. Now, even if you're a world-class pen tester, you can still become a manager for the pen testers underneath you. There's still success either way. Yeah, exactly. So, you have to get yourself to a point where you need to decide what your future goal is. If it's to become a vCISO, fantastic, right? You might not have to be a world-class penetration tester to become that, but it's going to help you to understand the language, the lingo, some of the tool sets. The more you understand, the more valuable you can be for your team. So you have to think going in. There's no wrong way to go. If you deep dive into something, that's okay. Or if you are more of a generalist, but you decide you want to become a deep dive penetration tester, that's okay too. Because all of this knowledge is transferable, but you need to be thinking about the long-term goals. So Monica, do you have anything to add to that?
No, absolutely. And I think it absolutely makes sense because especially when you are starting with a particular role, right? And I've said this in some of the videos that I've made and then I've posted out. Start with something specific, and the moment you have gotten a hold and a grasp on that, expand.
Yeah.
Definitely do that. I mean, it's if you want to just be a hacker for the rest of your life, it's no problem. But if you if that's the only goal you have for the rest of your life, that's the only example I would say that you probably don't need to expand that much. But in all other cases, I would suggest get a grasp on one thing and then expand. That's what I did. I just focused on hacking. That was it. That was all what I did for the first 6 years. And then I got into risk management, and then I got into understanding business continuity, and then I expanded. And then I've been head of identity and access management. I've been head of cloud security. I've done privacy for not almost 20 years. And I've worked with security, risk management, business continuity, privacy. Literally, that gives me so much knowledge to talk to different stakeholders. And if you want to be a leader one day, you need to have people skills. You need to understand people. You need to understand their motivations. You need to understand their needs. You need to understand your stakeholders. You don't have to be an expert in all the other fields. You don't. But you need to have an understanding. And there's a difference between that. There's a nuance there that's really important. And
Yeah.
I think there are some questions maybe before we go to the next point, Mike. Let's just take
Yeah.
some questions, right?
Yeah, I have one here. It says, I just finished an internship as a penetration tester, but while seeking entry level roles, I need a lot of certifications. What other pen testing roles can I start with as an entry level applicant? So here's what I'll tell you again. This is where you have to work really hard to stand out, right? Um, as a pen tester, you absolutely don't have to have certifications. Does it help? Sure. Doesn't it certainly helps to have certifications. However, if you have the choice of building your network and shaking hands virtually on LinkedIn with thousands of people versus going and getting one security certification, I would recommend connecting to people, especially on the LinkedIn platform, if done correctly, will absolutely give you opportunities. It's how I've eaten, right, for the past couple of years. Monica, I know it's how you've eaten, just by opportunities that come to you. So what I'll say is, if you're running into positions that are saying they take certifications, one of the things I'll tell you as well is many of these positions that you're seeing, these job descriptions are wish lists, right? They wish they could have someone that has 3 or 4 certifications, but those people are rare. So submit anyhow and see where you can go with it. But again, the goal really is to not have to use the spray and pray approach, right? But to have leads come to you, which is why we talk about branding so heavy. So I hope that helps kind of answer that
Yeah,
question.
and just to add to that part of what Mike is saying, literally, if you go back on my LinkedIn feed to last week, Thursday, literally posted about in the last 7 years, all the roles and jobs that I have landed, I didn't apply to a single one of them.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I did apply to jobs. Don't get me wrong, I did. They had zero impact
Yeah,
or a minimal impact. Funnily, every single job that I landed that I've been in, I didn't apply to that one. So how did I actually increase my odds? And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. I have changed entirely the way I do job searches. And I understand it's difficult when you are very in the beginning of entry level stuff. But I literally put out this post with, I think, 7 exact points which you can use to increase your luck, which one can call, to increase your opportunities that come to you. It has nothing to do with which level you are in within the industry. Whether you have 1 year experience or 20 years of experience, doesn't matter. It's about branding. It's about profiling, your own profile. It's about LinkedIn. It's about putting the value out. I have literally put step by step. I even have templates there in that post of like what I have used in that one. So please
yeah.
check that one out, literally. And I want to also take one more question here before we go to next one, because I think this is something I resonate with. Somebody's asking this again. I'm sorry, which we missed it, but I'm just seeing it for the first time. And nonetheless, I have my CompTIA A plus. How can I use this to get into a role with cyber or tech? I'm having a tough time still. I understand. So first, I don't think A plus is enough. But let me tell you a real story. So I did CompTIA Security Plus. Okay, that's the one that I did. If you want to go for a basic certification, a very basic one, which you can study on your own and pass and just have certification with some knowledge, but also for certification, which can help in your job search, go for CompTIA Security Plus. That's one I would say. But it is difficult. You cannot just break into a role by just using certifications. That's why we say, because when people say, you know what, get all certifications, you'll get the job, it's not true. I'll tell you, I had Security Plus. I applied to 90% of the pen testing
Yep.
jobs that were out there at that time, almost 2 decades ago, which was not so many, by the way. Today, you have like 100 jobs every single day coming out. That time, there were barely 9 jobs, and maybe I applied to 8 of them. I don't know. Never heard from any one of them, not a single person. But what I did then, I was literally going crazy. I was like, okay, I had a job. I was working just like probably you are, and I had experience. It's not that, but I was not able to become really a hacker, an ethical hacker who gets paid for this. I wanted to do that, right? So then I changed my entire strategy and I started networking. I was living in Munich. I talked about this as well in the last live, but I want to repeat this one because I was living in Munich. I knew about OWASP, which is Open Web Application Security Project. I knew about their community. So I found OWASP chapter in Munich and I started going to them every single week, second week, month, or whatever they had their meetups, right? First, I was just listening. Then I started chiming in because I had studied these things. I understood what it really entailed. And when I started talking, people understood that I have knowledge, I have experience that I can bring to the table. One of the guys that I'm really thankful for, he connected me to my then to become boss in Siemens, and I got the job as an ethical hacker, and that changed my life. So certifications alone will not help you. You have to go out and make the effort. You have
Yeah.
to try different ways. You have to be creative. That's why we're putting all this information out on my YouTube channel, on his, and on
Yep.
LinkedIn, because we want to help you increase the chances and help you 10x your career and your life and the
So
quality of it.
yeah, so think of a carpenter, someone who wants to get into construction, right? They go and they buy all of the right tools. They fill their toolbox, and they have everything they need, top of the line. They're educated, they're ready to go. So they have all these tools in their truck, right? But the truck's sitting in the driveway. No one knows about them. They're not putting billboards out there. They're not advertising, but they got all of these tools. That carpenter is going to starve because he's bought all of these tools, but he doesn't know how to sell the skills and wisdom and the tools that he has, right? So think of that in cybersecurity. We have all these tools, we have all this wisdom, but I don't care if you have 15 certifications. If you don't have the ability or the skill set to go sell those skills and certifications that you've acquired, it's going to be hard for you to succeed. So how do we sell those skills, right? Um, LinkedIn is, in my opinion, the number one place to sell those skills. So if you want some metrics, right? You have all these certifications, you've done all this work, and you're like, man, no one's hiring me. You want a metric? Look at your profile views, right? Because LinkedIn, you should think of LinkedIn as your resume from this point forward. Because
More
there are,
than resume. It's
yeah,
it's I actually literally talked about it. Is I
yeah,
have given it a name and I call it the value powerhouse,
I
VPH.
like that.
It
Yeah,
is
I like
more
that.
than
Yeah.
resume. It's
So
VPH.
yeah,
Okay,
so
continue. Sorry.
think of it that way moving forward. So you're going to get this in front of as many people as you can. So we talked about branding. Look at your profile views. If your profile views, are very low, well, then that tells you you need to do a better job of selling the skills that you have. You need to attract people to your profile, right? And there's so much knowledge out there every day that Monica's putting out, I'm putting out, so many great people. Some people are even sitting in this room, this chat room, that put out information about branding every day. I don't care how many certs you have. If you don't have the ability to attract those views to your profile and to get yourself out there and to get leads to your inbox, you're going to have a tool chest you're going to have really shiny tools for a long time because they're not going to get used. That's
Absolutely.
my analogy of the day.
Yeah, very well said, actually. I see there are some of the questions, and I think we have two more points that we want to share. And
Yep.
the reason I don't want to take them yet is because we will cover answers to quite some many of them in the next two. And we also see that we're running out of time. So
Yes.
let's hop to the next one, and then we'll get back to the questions. So number 5 is mentorship, or the right mentorship, right? I did touch upon this a little bit in the very early beginning, right? You have to find the right mentor for you, right? I touched upon that topic a little bit. So through a lot of trial testing and through a lot of networking, through a lot of collaboration, I found out that these are some of the key elements in finding the right mentor for you. And it's not one, you can have many mentors. Number one, they support you in your goals. They're not pushing their agenda on you. They're not choosing their path for you. Then they understand and support your goals and are able to guide you to build your path, the one that you wish to choose for yourself. Are they optimistic? Are they going to build you up instead of inspiring you through fear or inspiring you through tearing you down? And I think this is really underrated, but it's really, really important. I would never recommend you to be guided by someone who tries to help you grow by tearing you down. Absolute no go. So, number one is important. What is their agenda? How do they provide you help and guide you in your journey? So, that's important. Two, it is a two-way street. Sounds like not, but it is. Mentorship is a two-way street. A great mentor will always be open to learning as much as guiding. My mentors and I have a two-way relationship. I'm so grateful to them. I will never be able to pay back as much as they have guided me. That's not going to happen, right? It's not 50-50. It's not, I get that. But they are so amazing that they have learned from me. They tell me often how much they have learned from me, and that makes me so grateful and thankful. And this is exactly the kind of mentorship that I look for, at least, where it's not about 50-50, but it's about learning in both directions and growing in both directions. And only then you can grow the relationship, because mentorship is not something that you just do once in 10 years or something, right? It's about building relationships, and everybody can take it at their own pace, but ultimately the relationship builds and grows in both direction. And the third one, in finding the right mentor, it's very important. Almost a prerequisite, by the way. It should be someone that you're inspired by. You respect them, you look up to them, and you admire them. Because I think it's really, really, really important. You learn little from people that you don't respect. Maybe just what you shouldn't be doing. I don't know. Okay, there's always learning in everything, right? But I'm just saying that to really learn and grow 10x, you need to be able to, you need to admire this person and their journey. It doesn't have to look like yours. It doesn't. But it's something that inspires you, guides you, and can show you to do things better, smarter, even more efficient way. How you look up to this person is really key. That's how you build this relationship going forward. If you don't have respect for this person, if you don't admire this person, I'm sorry, but this is not going to work out at the end of the day. You will not believe in what the person is saying. You will not be able to implement it. It's not a kind of right mentorship. So it might sound very bizarre, but it's really, really prerequisite that you actually look up to this person, respect them, admire them and their journey, even if it's not the same. So I don't know, that those are my three criteria, at least I believe. And there are more probably, but the three criteria that I believe should be absolute minimum in mentorship. What do you think, Mike? What would you like to add?
Yeah, I agree with all of this. Honestly, I think you covered about most of it. The only thing I will say is, you said it earlier. Pick people that are supportive, that you look up to, that you admire, um, and and be ready to be held accountable. Because I know when I mentor people, I hold them accountable. Some people, they'll do multiple calls with me, and when we talk 2 weeks later, I'll say, "How'd you do? What are your metrics? What have you done?" And if they haven't done anything, I might be a little hard on them. So it's a two-way streak, like you said. You have to be able to admire someone, look up to them, but at the same time, um, be held accountable and make sure you're doing the things that the mentors are asking you to do. So, and having more than one is okay, right? As long as it is going toward the same mission, right? As long as you're not being steered in
Yes.
too many directions. And use your LinkedIn community as your mentors as well. There's so many good, positive people out there. Connect to many of them, follow many of them, engage with their content. They're putting so many people in our community are putting out great information every day. Let that kind of be, a little bit of mentorship for you as well.
Yeah, I literally put out also this video on my YouTube channel of how I found my mentor almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So step by step, I even have the message that I wrote to him the first time.
Yep.
Like I literally put that in the video. So please
Yeah.
go check it out if you want to understand, learn a bit more of how you can connect with people, how you can find the right mentor for you. Because I think it's important in choosing a career path. It's building a, maybe not choosing, but as much as building a career path. It might sound like, yeah, what does that have to do with something? It does have an impact on your career path, and that's why I'm breaking it up. So
Absolutely.
oh, Chris, this is a fantastic question that you're asking that oh my God. Okay. So I don't want to give out the spoiler, but I kind of will gonna give out a spoiler. I'm literally coming out with a full video on imposter syndrome. But okay, let me share something. So, and I think Mike will also agree on that one. We all have experienced imposter syndrome. We all. Um, I have experienced imposter syndrome my entire life. I just did not know about it. And I found out actually in 2020 that I was suffering from imposter syndrome. Um, it is a very sensitive topic for me. I have literally, when I found out, I was crying. And I'm putting that video out because it's it was a wonderful time for me, because people see me as a confident person. People see me, if you meet me, you would just think that, yeah, she's got her shit figured out. No, I have not. Let me just tell you that I haven't. And when I found out, it took a lot of reflection and soul searching and a lot of steps of how to handle that. And I think it's very difficult for me to really summarize it now. But I think I literally next week or the week after I'm putting that video out, it's on my YouTube blog.
Stay
But I
tuned.
can just say, yeah, stay tuned for that for sure. I trust me, I have shared things in there that I'm not capable of sharing right now.
Yeah.
It is kind of, as I said, a bit very sensitive topic for me. But and that's probably the reason I say it is absolutely the reason I said the third point, what I said about mentors. Don't find mentors that believe that they can tear you down to build you up.
Yep.
One of the things that I'm going to share in that video, and let me just say it now already, is that I have had a very supportive family. I've had a very supportive father. I've had a very supportive mentor. Yet I suffered from imposter syndrome because I've had men, unfortunately, men. It's nothing to do, I am not against males, but just because we have had male dominated industry, majority of the bosses have been males in my life. Majority of the other people that have been on top in hierarchy or whatever have been males. It's just that's been the coincidence. But nonetheless, I've had people in my life that have used every opportunity to tear me down. And it has an impact. It has a very big
Absolutely.
impact.
Yeah.
Don't stay in toxic relationships, whether you are 6 days in a job, 6 weeks in a job, 6 months in a job, 6 years in a job. The moment you're in a toxic work relationship, a toxic private relationship, and you have a possibility to get out, please get out. And when it comes to imposter syndrome, dealing with it, just know it's not bad. That's one key thing I want to share with you. And actually, that's the message of my entire video. So I'm just giving it out right now. But why not? Somebody wants help and I want to help. I want to share it. Imposter syndrome is not bad. It is what we feel when we are out of our comfort zone, when we are doing things that we feel like we don't belong. We feel like, who the hell are we? What are we doing here? And I think it helps you grow. So the problem is not getting rid of imposter syndrome. The problem is embracing it and learning how to embrace it. And I think that's what the video is about, of how you can embrace it. I don't think I can cover it right now, but please, please, please just watch that video when it comes out. I promise you it will really help you. It is my first hand experience of how I've embraced imposter syndrome. And I think Mike would like to probably add something, and then we should move to the last point.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we got to get moving for time here, but yeah, absolutely. There's ways you can use imposter syndrome to leverage your career, right? Or you can leverage imposter syndrome to help your career. And I talk about those things a lot too. I talk about them in my book and so on, and in videos. But I would agree. Just kind of stay tuned to the video that she has, because I know that we're on the same page about that. So,
But just know that you're not alone.
right,
Just
absolutely,
knowing that,
they still suffer from
please,
it. Yeah,
you are not
absolutely.
alone. You're
Yeah,
not alone.
yeah.
Okay, I think that's a very big topic to talk, so we have to cover that in the video. But let's go on to choosing the career path again. So after having discussed the different points that we discussed, right? I want to give you a framework. So this is what I said in the very beginning when we started this live session, that I have realized that I have used this framework intentionally or unintentionally. It has been a foundation for all the choices that I have made in my career. And I want to give you a framework that can help you, which you can use to build and decide which career path you should ideally take. And you can use it in the beginning of your career. You can use it also at any random point in your career when you want to reassess your choices and choose the best career option going forward from that point. I wish I had something like that at my disposal. I didn't. But as I said, from my own experience, I realized that when I was putting this together, that this is somehow it became foundational in how I chose and paved my path all along. So, how do you build and use such a framework to help you choose your ideal career option? Let me show you. So, a career path framework consists of following elements, and the best career option for you will ideally be a combination of all of the following 5 elements. I will give you the 5 elements in the framework. Please note it down. 5 elements in the framework, and your best career option will be ideally a combination of all these 5 elements. Number one, does it provide enough money to pay your bills? Money. Okay. So, yeah, we did say don't chase the money. That's correct. You shouldn't be chasing money, but it is important enough to at least be able to pay your bills and have still somewhat a comfortable life after what remains, right? Especially in the very beginning when you're an entry level role, don't expect 6 figures. It's not happening. As your value increases, you can also increase what you get, right? So, does it provide you enough? It's an important question to still ask. Not $1 million, that's not happening, but just enough so you can live comfortably with. First element. Number two, purpose. Does it fit your purpose? We talked about it. Build your career and your life with intention. Does it fit your purpose? Whatever you're doing today, whatever you're going to do tomorrow, in addition to paying bills, does it help you be purposeful? Does it provide you any purpose in your life, right? Because we all are seeking purpose at the end of the day. Intention is very important. Your decisions, what even Mike said, your decisions will have both a short term and a long term impact. I could have done anything else in this world. But when I found out that my grandpa got scammed, that gave me purpose, that gave me intention to protect as many. Today, for example, my purpose is to help you and all the others 10x your career and your life. So ultimately, what I'm always trying is to build my career and my life with intention. So purpose is the second part. Does it give you a purposeful life? 3, skills and values. What are you good at? So everybody is good at something. For example, I found out that I was good at analytical skills. I was good at problem solving, right? What are you good at? There are many other skills that I built along the way. So it's not that was born with everything. It's not like that. Obviously, as you also learn, you get better at things, and what you're good at also changes. Today, for example, I'm good at storytelling, communication, people management, and other skills that I need as a CISO, as a leader. So ask yourself, what are you good at? All right. That's really, really, really important. That's the third criteria. The fourth one, enjoyment. We don't want a boring ass life. We do want to do things that we feel good about. What do you like to do? What gives you energy? Defeating the bad guys, and now helping others succeed. So it's also important, do you enjoy it? It's important to ask that question. The fourth factor. Fifth, ultimate, final factor. What do you do? So, what do you do that you're good at? What is that you like? What is that gives you purpose? What is that provides you value? Does it ultimately provides value to others? Ultimately, how successful you will be in your role, in your career, in your life, in your path, whatever you choose, is directly correlated to the value you can provide to others. And what can really make an impact and difference. So, for example, when I was working as a hacker, I was obviously providing value by helping them find the flaws before the bad guys did, right? That was the value that I was providing as a hacker. Today, I'm uh, helping others as a CISO. I'm helping you guys, my community, to 10x your career in your life. It is providing hopefully a value to you all. So ask these 5 basic questions, 5 basic elements. When you have a combination of these, that is your ideal career option, because it will provide you value, it will provide you purpose, you will do something that you're good at, you will do something that you enjoy, and you will do something that provides value to others directly. So this is the framework I have realized when I answer these 5 questions. And if I'm able to do something, I'm able to check all these 5. Maybe you're not able to do all 5, maybe start with 3, 4. But ideally, the moment you're able to check these 5 things, that is an ideal career option, combination of all these 5. I really I hope you can really use this framework today, tomorrow, whenever you like, and assess the choices that you've made and the choices you will make tomorrow, so you can build your life, build your career with intention. I'm really talking a lot about intention. Is very, very important. I'm not a Mike, if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, I think all 5 of them really go together. So, I mean, first of all, just going back, you have to, the business sense of us, you have to make sure that whatever you're going to do is going to cover the bills. But you want to make sure that whatever you're doing to cover those bills has purpose. But in order to have purpose, you have to be good at it. I mean, these really just go in, and you have to be passionate about something. If you're passionate about something, you're going to enjoy it, right? And obviously, if you're good at something, you're going to provide value to others. So I think this is, I haven't seen it broken down like this, but I really like that. And I put them all in the comments as well. So yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is how I found my ikigai. Go search the term ikigai. This is something you will help understand why it is so important to have a framework like that. So I really hope that it helps you guys. This is the reason why we did this live today. It was not to tell you what your path should look like. It was to give you all the tools and elements at your disposal so you can make continuously the right choices today and tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you guys so much. It means so much to us. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Make sure you subscribe to, it's backwards on the screen, to Monica's YouTube channel, LinkedIn account, and mine as well. And we will be here a month from now with hopefully a couple surprises, and we look forward to it. Thank you for all of your support, positivity, and engagement. We love you guys.
We love you guys. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.